New tonight, a plane at Boeing Field is catching global attention. It comes after some surprising news out of the port of Seattle this week that exporters are actually pulling their products back from overseas after deals fell through. As Fox 13's Lauren Donovan reports, it includes one shipment in particular.
Online, we were seeing reports from tons of international outlets that a Boeing jet bound for China's Xiamen Airlines actually returned here to the King County International Airport. So we came here to check it out, see if it was true. And lo and behold, we'll have you zoom in through the gate. You'll see parked right here on the runway in Seattle is an aircraft that meets that description. Xiamen Air. On the side of the plane is this 737 MAX that reportedly crossed the Pacific, now stateside because of these tariffs?
Being one of the most trade-dependent states in the United States, we've always been concerned about the impact to manufacturing, particularly aviation.
Wednesday, Senator Maria Cantwell was in Seattle, concerned over the fate of homegrown aircraft giant Boeing if these tariffs persist. Easter weekend, Reuters shared photos of a 737 MAX touching down at Boeing Field, the plane maker's U.S. production hub, calling it a, quote, victim of Trump's tariff war, writing it's the latest sign of disruption to new aircraft deliveries.
And we have tried to express to our colleagues that there is a market now for 40,000 planes, huge opportunity to chase. So our challenge here is we want the United States to be able to chase that effectively. That represents a lot of jobs.
During Cantwell's press conference at the port, we heard these returns are becoming a trend for all sorts of local exporters.
We are also hearing stories of exporters who have been pulling containers with their product out of our terminals and bringing them back home because they have had to cancel sales.
Not just from the head of the Seaport Alliance, but straight from the mouths of local businesses like Access Laser in Everett.
Just 2 days ago, a $200,000 order from a Chinese customer was placed on hold and is likely to be canceled. Prolonged trade tensions could effectively lock us out of the Chinese market.
The Washington Wine Commission was there too, sharing that their efforts in Asia, specifically South Korea and Japan, are now on hold. And that is especially frustrating as things have already soured up north in British Columbia.
Canada, our #1 export market, which literally disappeared overnight. If you're not aware, the Canadian government mandated that all U.S. alcohol be removed from shelves, so you can't even buy it if you wanted to.
Now let's bring it back to the aircraft concerns. This news of the 737 parked here, it comes on the heels of other reports that Boeing shares have fallen because China has halted the sale of their aircraft. I have reached out to Boeing independently to confirm if this is the plane that they're talking about, and I'm still waiting to hear back. Reporting in Seattle, Lauren Donovan, Fox 13 News.
Morning, guys. Happy Monday. Just dropped by to give you one little bit of tidbit I heard this morning. Kind of tickled my fancy. I thought I'd give y'all a little tickle, too. China. They still on it. They on one for real. China just kindly and politely sent back an order of Boeing jets from America. You know, they returned them. You know how black people going, excuse me, and returning all their Target merchandise. Well, China said we returning all them jets. China. Y'all all right with me, China? Keep hitting them. Keep gut punching that trick, okay? I'm down with y'all for every other day on this one. Y'all have a good day. I know I am. Oh, one question before I get out of here. And this one I want to ask personally to the White House. Is it great again yet? I don't think so. But China is.
China is winning and will win the tariff war, the trade war. It will be won by China, and it is being won right in front of us. The tariffs are designed in whole to absolutely shrink the middle class as far down as it can push it, while simultaneously elevating the richest of the rich even higher to their highest possible abilities within this time period of humanity. So maybe we were here. This is designed to take us here. By the way, here is no longer middle class, and here is now untouchable. Why? You're going to have to buy their products any which way. So you're either still going to buy the products at a higher price with the tariff included, or you're going to be forced to buy American products that are at a higher cost, right? That's the reality of what's happening with the tariffs. Or you can buy direct from China, 55 cents laundry pod, 8 cents salt, 42 cents Nutella. You know, you could go in that direction. It's not going to change the fact that your wages are low, your taxes are getting higher, you're losing the ability to have basic freedoms like, I don't know, speech, like, oh, I got a green card, but I'm going to get kicked out. You know, the tariffs are just part of a systematic takedown, a systematic dismantling of the United States. They've been attacking government bodies. They've been attacking establishments. They've been attacking humans nonstop. It doesn't matter if you have crimes or no crimes. They're deporting people en masse without reason. People are getting picked up by people who aren't even in uniform and put into unmarked cars. Does this sound familiar? Because I did 42 hours of history, and this stuff sounds familiar. And not to any one specific time, but throughout history. If you know history, you can see what's coming next. It truly is cyclical, this thing of ours that we call life. And this is what happens when countries are dismantled. This is what happens when autocracies and dictatorships take over. So, part of the tariff war is doing that. There's a caveat, no, not caveat, there's an addition. The exemptions. So you get exemptions, right? But you have to apply for that exemption. Who approves it? The ruling body. Who's in power right now? We know who's in power. So who's going to get approved for the exemptions? Their friends. So when you do find that product that's cheaper, it's because you're buying it from someone who's pushing you down and climbing higher. You're actually doing them a favor. That's what they want. Now, on top of it, this is going to be a big part of the destruction of the United States, because who's going to gain the most from this trade war besides the elite in the United States? China. That's who. Why? The West looks at China in a certain light. I see China as in the same phase as the United States at the turn of the 20th century. They're stepping slowly away from the industrialized nation and moving forward. They have more millionaires, more freedoms, more tech. They're moving forward. But first they have to get to that nasty period. In the United States of America, kids were working in factories in the early 1900s. Children, okay? So we can sit here and be like, oh, China. But they're just going through a natural trajectory that rising empires go through. And now America has given them the most leverage to reach outward to other nations. Why? Because we put those blanket tariffs on everybody. We put a freaking tariff on Australia. We put a tariff on them because they reject our pork and our beef. Well, our pork is illegal in all but 2 countries. And our beef would be a direct competition with their beef, which is rated quite a bit higher if you want natural beef, if you take out like hormones, antibiotics, and all those. Australian beef is at the top of the tier along with Argentinian. Why would they let our beef in anyways? Plus, we have a surplus on the trade with Australia. So why are we tariffing them? And that goes across the board. We're doing it to everybody. So now China gets to sit back and say, look, I know you're not exactly in line with us, but is this who you want to do business with? They're creating unstable markets. They have a plan which is completely designed to govern their country, dominate other countries, threaten their allies. We're going to take this country. We're going to take that country. Even if they're not doing it, they're creating instability by suggesting it. They got you on your back toe. Back heel. There you go. To practice that. So you want to do business with them? We're not going to do any of those things. And we're going to do better trade with you. We make all the products anyways. So why don't we just cut this all out? We'll do better deals with you. You do business with us. And so it goes. And all of a sudden, America on the global scale is losing weight. And China is getting heavier. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. That's for history to decide. All right? But I do know it's bad for America today because we're going to be a shrinking nation. We are the largest buying nation, but we're not the largest market. The largest market is the European Union. There's over 500 million people in Europe, documented. And countries like mine, Greece, and many other countries, they don't count immigrants that live in the country. So it could say 500 million and actually be 550, 600 million people. Who knows? We don't know. We don't count them. Okay? So it's a big market. We're not as strong as we think when we're alone. Didn't you guys watch Planet of the Apes? Stick break. Ape strong. You know, we're strong in numbers. European Union is strong in numbers. We're a nation in decline that's being dismantled. It's government bodies. It's oversight government bodies. Regulations. These things are good. They're all going away. They're being tested. And people are just watching it on the news. And I know I'm coming back to the States for a little holiday. I know I'm going to get checked. Look at my eyebrows. I already get checked coming home. They're going to go through my phone. They're going to go through my social media potentially. I don't even know if I'm safe. China's looking pretty good right now. And therefore, the tariffs are just a part of the decimation of the United States. And if you pay attention to Ray Dalio, which I hope you all do, because there's never been a better time to read his books and listen to what he has to say about the current affairs of the United States. He is not afraid of a recession. Recessions are part of the ebb and flow. They hurt, they sting, but it's part of the ebb and flow. He's scared that this is going to be an absolute change in the monetary system, a collapse of the monetary system as we know it. There are a few people who have the right to say that as much as he does. He's a very wise man. Tariffs are part of the plan to collapse the United States and turn it into Russia, and to allow China to dominate, while the richest of the United States do business with them. Welcome to the show, folks.
In the pre-dawn hours of this morning, China has just firmly drawn a line in the sand towards Donald Trump and his tariff war. And what China is doing is they are aligning metaphorically their troops, known as other countries, to stand with them. I wonder what those other countries might do. Stand with China or with the U.S.? And in this breaking story I'm going to show you in a few seconds, China is not playing around, and Donald Trump's starting to find out why the first time he tried this back in his first term, it didn't work. I'm going to show you that story in just a few seconds. Take a quick listen to this to grasp what he still has not learned. You know, the man who's filed 6 bankruptcies. Take a quick listen.
Over the last 40 years, China's economic growth has been eclipsing that of the United States, growing at an average rate 4 times faster. China dominates global supply chains, and it holds nearly $1 trillion of U.S. debt.
China is a peer country with the United States today. If we use purchasing power parity, its economy is larger than the U.S. economy. And if anyone believes that they can stop China's steady rise as an economy, it's probably indulging in fantasy.
One thing I have to do is economically take on China, because China has been ripping us off for many years. Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one, so I'm taking on China.
In fact, Donald Trump's predecessors have employed measures to restrict China trade practices.
They're taking our business, they're taking our jobs, they're making our product.
But in 2016, Trump made China a major campaign issue.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country, and that's what they're doing. It's the greatest theft in the history of the world.
Days before Trump's inauguration in 2017, Xi wanted to make sure the incoming president knew where he stood on trade. He sent a warning from his podium at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
搞保护主义，如同把自己关入黑屋子，看似躲过了风吹雨打，但也隔绝了阳光和空气。打贸易战的结果只能是两败俱伤。
President Trump's most important foreign meeting yet, greeting the leader of the country he's previously called our enemy.
President Trump understood that we had failed to compete with China. One of the lines that President Trump would use with Xi Jinping periodically is he would say, I don't blame you, I blame us.
Oh, that's a wonderfully cute concept of it's not your fault, it's ours. That's kind of like taking a rescue dog that's angry because it was beaten by the previous owner and saying to the dog, look, I know you know it's not my fault, but I'm going to punch you in the face anyway. Like, you have to address something that is right now, not what you wish it was in the past when somebody else was in charge. You're in charge, Donald. And in this breaking story, oh my, this is what China just did.
China has issued a strong warning to its trading partners, urging them not to join U.S. efforts to isolate Beijing in exchange for tariff exemptions. The statement follows reports that the Trump administration is offering reduced trade barriers to countries that limit economic ties with China. Beijing called the strategy coercive and vowed reciprocal countermeasures if its interests are undermined. Tariffs on Chinese goods were recently raised to 145%, sharply escalating the trade war.
Major breaking story. China vows retaliation against countries that follow U.S. calls to isolate Beijing. China on Monday warned it will retaliate against countries that cooperate with the U.S. in ways that compromise Beijing's interests as the trade war between the world's two largest economies threatens to embroil other nations. China's warning comes as U.S. President Donald Trump's administration is reportedly planning to use tariff negotiations to pressure U.S. partners to limit their dealings with China. Trump this month paused major tariff increases on other countries for 90 days while hiking duties further on goods from China to 145%. In quotes, China firmly opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of China's interest. If this happens, China will not accept it and will resolutely take reciprocal countermeasures, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce said, according to a CNBC translation. The ministry cautioned about the risk to all countries once international trade returns to law of the jungle. The statement also sought to cast China as willing to work with all parties and, in quotes, defend international fairness and justice, while describing the U.S. actions as abusing tariffs and unilateral bullying. Chinese President Xi Jinping last week visited Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia in his first overseas trip of 2025. In official Chinese readouts of his meetings with the three countries' leaders, Xi called for joint efforts to oppose tariffs and unilateral bullying. Since Trump imposed tariffs on China during his first term, the Asian country has increased its trade with Southeast Asia, now China's largest trading partner on a regional basis. The U.S. remains China's largest trading partner on a single country basis. In quotes, for African countries or every country, it should be everyone cooperating together responding to the U.S. Justin Yifu Lin, Dean of the Institute of New Structural Economics at Peking University, told reporters on Monday. That's according to a CNBC translation of his Mandarin language response to a question from a reporter from Mali about solutions to the trade war. While Lin did not rule out the possibility of full decoupling between the U.S. and China, he said he expected the two countries would likely remain linked because of U.S. consumer and business reliance on China. Last week, China's Ministry of Commerce replaced its top international trade negotiator with Li Qiangang, who also became a vice minister and has been the country's ambassador to the World Trade Organization. China has filed a lawsuit against the U.S. with the WTO over Trump's latest tariff increases. And if by chance you wonder to yourself why it seems Trump is oblivious to the realities of what this is going to do to not only the American economy, but the American people, where do you think so many of these low-cost goods come from? China. Just ask MAGA and all of their paraphernalia that they have been selling for the last 10 years, all made in China. Well, they go to places like Walmart. That's how the Walton family became the billionaires that they are. And who buys those goods? Who shops there? The people with the lowest amount of income. This isn't going to affect Trump's pals. And in terms of all the insider trading that goes on within the White House and up on Capitol Hill, it's not going to affect those people. This is going to hurt the poorest people in this country while Trump is sitting around stroking himself at how proud he is of, I'm the chosen one, I took on China. Man, there are a lot of ways to go about winning fights. There are a lot of ways to strategize, to use W's phrase of doing it, to strategize how you approach an enemy and how you win. But in this global economy, we're not isolationists. And Trump is treating us in this situation like it's 1915. And it's not. It's 2025. It has to be a cut here, a trim there, a thing there. You cannot just go in like a bull in a china shop, ha ha, pardon the pun, and take on China in the way he's doing it. This is going to get rough. So you guys stay frosty.
Never underestimate the power of a human being. Right now, China has decided to send back the Boeing. Yeah, the Boeing airline. Yes, China is taking things further, and it's not ready to give up. It's not ready to bend down low for Donald Trump. Who is going to blink first? Is it China? Is it Donald Trump? Or is it is it USA? Sometimes you can underestimate the power of someone, but deep down you don't know that when you underestimate them, that gap that you have given them to be underestimated, it makes them stronger and it makes them to prove a point. Right now, China is trying to connect with different countries, and they are saying that in case they find out that you are working with America, they are going to cut allies with you. So China right now is not backing up, is not putting hands down on what it started. And who started it? It was Donald Trump by raising tariffs. Right now, China has decided to send back the Boeing. If you're new to this channel, kindly subscribe, like, and share on this channel. We give you different reactions from different people or different opinions from different people of what is happening around the world. As you have seen, very many people have given their opinions on what is happening right now. So what would be your take on this issue, whereby China is going even more to prove to Donald Trump that we can be without you? I'll be glad if you left your comment or your opinion in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.